All right, we're online, so if there's anybody out there that's in cyber world, welcome. We have a good group of people here and enjoyed a good dinner. Sorry if you were not here with us and missed out on this because it was really good. Appreciate Charlie for cooking it up for us and Rhonda for all of your work in preparing it. Plus, I think we had some other people helping out with this too. Who? Okay, so thank you for the drinks, and we appreciate all of that. We're just going to kind of go down the agenda of things that we need to talk about that are coming up in the church, and I wrote a couple things down that I know that we have coming up. What else do we have coming up that we need to talk about tonight?
Pastor.
Yes.
Christmas.
We're jumping right to it. Forget summer, forget fall.
Since it took so long for a movie night, I'm putting in another movie night.
Okay, the next movie night. Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. Oh, thank you.
Super Bowl Sunday?
Super Bowl Sunday. Only if the Chiefs.
Have you heard anything about softball?
Huh?
Have you heard anything about softball, the church softball?
Oh yeah, we're not doing it. They didn't. They couldn't get enough teams to play. All right. So, is there anything else that we have to cover tonight? Father's Day. Okay. BBS.
Yeah. You guys get ready for your time? Where we headed?
Sorry. Feel free to come up and get your dessert. We're just kind of getting things ready here. Anything else that we have? Yes. We can give you a little update about where we're at on that so far, yeah? Last day of Children's Church?
Yeah, not short sentence.
Oh, probably Great News Club. Because we don't ever stop Children's Church. But probably yes. Great News Club. That's a good question. I hope Christian shows up. He's supposed to be here tonight. And he's going to be the person that can give a better, and Danielle, if she's here. Good. Is there anything else?
She said June 1st for...
Oh, June 1st?
Yeah.
That's the last day for the summer?
For Great News Club, yes.
Okay. Vacations? You mean like my vacations? And yes. Yeah, he actually, can you do me a favor? He had some papers that he printed up with the summer schedule. and I think they're still in the office, probably on the countertop there. Can you go over and get those in case he's not here? But I know he put a lot of work into that, so. Oh, is it? No, it's a calendar. He did a calendar for June and July. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if Dara's with us online or not. You don't see her. We usually do a graduation Sunday, and this year there's a lot of people that have graduated. I know for high school and college we've had graduates, and probably junior high, and I think we only celebrate junior high and above. But we usually have a graduation Sunday. Do we have any thought to what would be a good Sunday to celebrate graduations? I talked with Christian and asked him if the youth group was going to do something, because a lot of times the youth group celebrates the high school graduations. And he said that because he's so busy in June and July, he's thinking the end of July would be a good time to celebrate. So that's kind of what he was thinking. But I think as a church we ought to get to it sooner than that. Yeah, well, yeah, Joy's still in school. Probably. How about the second week of June, the 12th? The first one is the 5th, and that's obviously that's communion and everything. And then the third one is Father's Day, so I was thinking maybe the second one would be good. Hello, Mark. Hey. How are you doing? Good. So let's tentatively put June 12th as the day that we celebrate graduations. Okay, and then we'll see if Dara's available that week. She's usually the one that does the graduation celebrations, and I know she's done it all the 20 years that I've been here, and she always does a great job with it, so I'm in favor of letting her do it again. Okay, Mark, you talked about a men's retreat possibility.
Yeah, we're looking. We're looking to maybe put together the men's retreat on, it's like September 4th, probably September 16th, 17th, and 18th.
At your
Friday,
cabin?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it'll be leaving early Friday morning and coming back Friday.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
That's tentative, and again, that's guys that want to do that. That'd be great.
Okay, so tentatively, men's retreat, September 16 to 18. We'll skip over this part and see if Christian comes. If he doesn't, we'll just pass out his calendar and let you figure it out. Christmas boxes.
In the month of May, we've been collecting ID products. So we have one more Sunday and then next month we want to change to little filler toys like yo-yos or jump ropes or little cars or dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Yo-yos, little balls, anything you think a child between 2 years old, there's a category for
Okay, so in June we're collecting items, and you want more of the nice prizes, the filler toys.
You could use, you could even put in like sewing kits, or for the older girls. Hot Wheel cars.
Yeah, those are good. Something small that doesn't take up a lot of room in the box, but would be fun for the kids. Okay, so that's good.
If you want your donation to go to a certain age group, put it in a bag with that on it, and we'll make sure that it goes in that box.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Christmas program.
Christmas on Sunday.
Sunday night?
No, I said Christmas is on Sunday.
Oh, it's on a Sunday.
We usually do that like the week.
Okay. So, yeah, that would be what if we do it on, we're doing it on Saturdays now because Sundays, the other church has the place. So we have to do it on a Saturday or Friday, but Saturday is probably better.
It looks like the 17th.
17th?
17th would be a Saturday.
Okay. December 17th looks like the best week to do a Christmas program. Everybody in favor of that? The great thing about talking about it now is that nobody has any idea what's happening, so you can get the calendar set ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
That's good thinking.
That's why I'm
That's why you're planning. That's why we both wear the red shirts with the, yeah. Because we're great minds think alike. Okay, movie night. Take a break from your steak for a second and tell us what the plan is for that.
Okay, so the flyers were drawn up. I guess some of you attended church last.
Why don't you come on up, and this way the people can see you.
Okay. Did something a little different this year. Well, the flyers are up, and it's going to be June 4th. Okay, potluck, but we're going to bring pizza. Mark's going to donate the pizza. I'm going to bring chicken, so there'll be food there anyway. Okay. The drinks are going to be provided by the church, from my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
I was taking care of that.
And did something a little different. I invited the surrounding churches that are on our property to the movie night. And
Omar was talking about it.
yes, he was really happy. They were really appreciative of the invitation, and that was really good. I felt that was, something from the Lord or whatever. And a lot of people, when I was walking out after I dropped off a couple of flyers, which I'll be distributing some more to them, a lot of families were coming up and saying, "Where is it? Where's it going to be?" Whatever. And yeah, I'm going to tell my grandma and this and that. And I thought that was great too. So they're going to tell friends and family members and things like that. So hopefully we'll have a really good turnout. So far, that's about it. Yeah.
Is it going to be outside?
It is going to be in the Family Life Center. So we're going to be indoors. Okay, it'll be indoors. And we'll set up the chairs. I'll be setting up the chairs and stuff. I had that day off. I took it off, so took a vacation day off so I can be there all day to set up everything. And hopefully this one will be the best one we've ever had. So, and great time to fellowship with all of our, our church members that are here on the property. Whatever, our church tenants. Okay. Any questions as far as...
family.
Right, extended family. That's a good one. Yeah. So bring whatever you want to bring. Whatever chips. The food is going to be at 5. Okay. But of course, we all eat through the movie anyway and stuff. It's always nice to do that. And then the movie will start at 6. Okay. The movie's a surprise. Okay. It's going to be a Christian movie. That's number one. Okay. That's all I can give you. Whatever. And it's going to be another one I can give you is. It's going to be an updated movie, okay? So something that, it's not going to be of, AD or anything like that. Okay, it'll be updated. We're all going to get something out of it. So, okay, so we've broken it down to, we've actually broken it down to 2 that we've decided. So Pastor and I will be talking about that, and along with Christian. So. Well, I don't know. We're going to think about the next one. We'll start it at 3, and whoever can't make it or whatever that day, we get the second one, whatever. So that's a good idea. Yeah. For people who, hey, not everyone can make it on that time, whatever. Some people have to do it earlier, whatever. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, okay. So that's it there. So the flyers are out and everything. I believe Christian, if he's here, he probably printed some more. Okay, we did 20, but there's gonna be a lot more than that. But all it takes is just one, and then word of mouth. So invite your friends, your family, anybody. Of course, you're always welcome in the Lord's house. So it'll be good. Okay. Any questions at all about that? No? Okay. Yeah. Potluck. Bring whatever chips, whatever you want to bring or whatever. But there'll be main food there too. Okay.
Good.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Father's Day. Father's Day is the third Sunday in June, and we sometimes have people do stuff for us. So do you know if the deaconesses have any plan for that? Anybody on the deaconess board talked about that yet?
She didn't answer me specifically, but I think we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually they have some kind of gift for the men, a pen or something like that, and then...
We won't leave you deserted.
Okay. Forsaken, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for not forgetting us. It would be good to have some kind of a lunch or something. I know the men usually like lunches better than brunches, so if you plan a lunch afterwards, it's probably more likely to have more men coming to it and staying after church. Something like a barbecue is really nice. We just pull that thing out and have somebody start grilling, and the guys will be happy. How many guys were happy with the dinner tonight? Were you? I was very happy. So you want to make us happy. Doesn't have to be steak, could be hamburgers, could be something else, but I'm just saying. It's a good way to go. So that is June 19. And VBS is July 11 to 15. We also have some flyers that are printed up for that, I think. Do we not? Yes? We also have it on our sign already, right? Pastor Ben? VBS on the sign? So everybody want to thank Pastor Ben and his crew for getting our sign working. It's popped up right now. The VBS is on there, yeah. That was a lot of work. Just heavy work. Just moving the sign was hard. It was a lot heavier than the other sign, as I recall.
Michael and his friend Derek helped a lot with most of that.
Okay, good. And there's still more to do. We're going to put the name on top of it. And the plan is to have it lit up so that anytime, day or night, even if the sign isn't shooting off things, we'll still be able to see that this is Hacienda Heights Baptist Church. And so it's going to sit on top of that sign. It was, I know it was more work than they intended just to keep it from blowing over. This one is a little lighter, I think, as far as catching the wind or something. And so they had to stabilize it and work on that. We got all that done now? Okay. Yes?
Are you guys doing the fireworks stand this year?
I would say no, because nobody has talked about it. As of right now, we're expecting less kids than probably most previous years for camp, and we already have quite a bit of money because the church has done a great job of collecting money all year long. This is kind of like the Christmas boxes. Barbara's now made this a year-long project, and you've made the Christmas program a year-long project. The youth made the camp fundraising a year-long project, and because of that, we don't have to rush right at the last minute and do all these last minute fundraisers, because you guys have done such a great job all year long, and we are really grateful for doing all of this year round instead of just at the end. By the way, now that everybody's just about here, does everybody know Rose Lazures? I think this was a special surprise for me. I saw her from across the whole campus, and I go, man, that looks a lot like Rose, but it couldn't be Rose. There's no way. She hasn't been here in years. And I think God brought you to us especially tonight, just to lift all of our spirits and to encourage us. And it's just, I know for myself, it's been very encouraging to see you tonight. So thank you for joining us for dinner and sticking around. And yeah.
Dara will not be in town on the 12th.
Okay. Would she like to do it a different Sunday? We could actually do it on the 5th, perhaps.
She's on the meeting now.
Oh, she's on? Okay. Yes, Dara. We could do the 5th. We do communion that week, but I think we can squeeze both of them in if you want to do it on the June 5th, if you're going to be around that week. So if you could let us know if that works for you. So anyway, getting back to VBS, we have the, what? I don't know. I'll have to wait until it comes around again. But it's boomerang something or other. Zoomerang. So I guess it's probably a Australian thing, maybe? Australian. Yeah, mate. Good day, mate. Okay, so that's going to be the 11th to the 15th, and obviously we want to try to get as many kids as possible. We also want to try to get as many workers available. I know that's might be a little more trouble this year than other years, so.
I've been having people ask me, how do I get that, how can I get to help with VBS?
Really?
I told them to see Christian.
Okay. Well, write their name down first so he knows who he's supposed to contact. So that's that. We've got, you asked about the training, and we have met with a person from Transformation Ministries. He came and met with several of us. I think you were there at the meeting. Mark was there. Adriana, the staff was there. And so we're going to he's given us some good ideas on the training. He has a group that he's working with. If we don't do it with the people we already have, he's recommending some other people that will cost more money, and he just didn't know how much money it was, so we weren't going to commit to it one way or the other. But he does have some ideas, and he gave us some good instruction already, and we're going to follow through.
Two trainings. One is mandatory state California mandated training. The other one is sexual harassment training. And he said he could help us out in both. And he has, but one of them is a 2-hour instead of a 6-hour training that Transformation Ministries is working currently to work on kind of a better we have to pay for a better deal for us, for all the churches to be. So it's a condensed one, but it's going to cost a little bit of money. But I don't think it's going to be real expensive. But he's going to get us. They're working on it right now to get us some solid.
What is the training contain?
Well, one's sexual harassment, and the other is what, mandatory reporting? Is that what the other one was?
And that's for anybody working with the youth. Anybody working with the youth has to go through it.
What he's trying to do is set up something that is for churches, because the secular world is entirely different from the church world, and there's a lot of things that they train for in the secular world that has no bearing on us. Workplace type things, and there's just a lot of stuff that wouldn't even apply to us at all. So we're trying to get one that applies to churches, and that cuts down on the time. Instead of a 6-hour training for 4 hours of stuff that nobody is not going to apply to us, and why would we bother with it? He's going to try to make it a lot shorter, and hopefully.
Alan's already gone through it, and he says a lot of that stuff on
Yeah.
I work for Allen Unified School District, and every year we have to take one computer, we have to watch a film on the computer, then take a test.
Uh-huh.
You gotta pass the test. Once you pass the test, you get a certificate. Print out, you sign it, put it in a file, That's the way it is for the state and for churches.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes, it is.
For child sexual harassment, there's no difference, but for like workplace, there's a whole bunch of harassments that we don't.
I work around kids, so I was mandatory that I took this test every year being around kids. So I know I've done it for many years now.
Yeah. Well, that sounds a lot easier than having somebody come in and pay them thousands of dollars to give you a training that some of the people would not show up on that date, and that sounds like a lot better plan, Ben. If all we had was a little video and take a test, and that would be a whole lot faster and easier.
You got to pass the question, that way you understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You sign it, then you tap on it, you print the form, sign it, and it's showing that you passed the test. And every year you got to do that.
And if you don't pass, then if you take the questionnaire at the end, and if you miss it, then it allows you to look at it again and say.
Yeah, you keep going until you pass it.
Until you pass.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like, to me, that sounds like a lot better way than bringing in somebody and spending a whole lot more money.
I'm just saying that, I don't know what they're going to do, but
Yeah.
that's probably what's going to happen.
Okay.
Now, there's the options of doing, it's going to be all state regulated anyway, that's what it is. The one he's speaking of it's just more orientated to the church.
Yeah.
But it's doing the same thing.
It probably will cover more stuff that applies to us than the state would, because there's a lot of things that happen in the church that don't happen outside the church, and it would be better to have more of the stuff that happens to us in the church. So they're working on that, and he's working with us on it. Great News Club, we decided that June 1st is the last week and through the summer. So we got that. Now, is there anything else that we didn't cover tonight so far?
Harvest is coming up.
Harvest Crusade? What's the date on that? It's at the new stadium, right?
SoFi Stadium, we're looking at it's
What? Not Angel Stadium anymore?
Nope.
No, it's going to be at SoFi Stadium, and it's going to be. It's in August. I just can't try to find it out. Looks like August 15th.
15. It's just a one-day
Just
thing.
one day thing again?
Yeah, it's a larger stadium.
They can handle 100,000 people probably.
Yeah, that's what I got. It's August 15th.
Okay, good.
Is the parking going to be $100 like a football game?
No, it's all done. That's all covered. Y'all probably have to pay a minimum.
99. Ride the bus, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
No, they're working out the whole bill for the parking and the whole thing.
Okay.
It's already done. It's just they haven't started. They haven't even started the church ministries yet to get involved yet. So that's coming up next month.
Okay, is there anything else? Yes.
Okay, speaking of bus, we have started in a very small way, but we have regular, one child comes every single Sunday. They would not be coming to our church except for the bus. And we have two others that also rode the bus and ride occasionally. And we have some other kids from the big club that are coming where the whole family comes, and they've been coming regularly too. But I know Rose is the master of the bus. And she was the first one I called, how did you get this started? And she said, well, what they did was, well, she can tell you, went to apartments, right, Rose?
She's not here right now.
Oh, not here
No.
right now, okay. That they went to the apartment houses. She said they went to 3 apartment houses and just passed out the flyers, talked personally. That's how we started the Great News.
That's how we started the Great News Club. We went over those apartments, we found some kids, and it was, you already had connections with them because they had been in your Good News Club.
A few of them, but there were other kids that were there that were not in our club that started coming.
Yeah.
And so that's real easy, she said, for the bus to pick up, because all you have to do speak English, and to invite them especially to the VBS. And I think we would probably get a lot of kids coming to the VBS on the bus, because by then they're going to be kind of bored.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we need
that's a good
one
idea.
other driver, because Keith, right now, I understand, is the only one who was actually cleared to drive the bus, and he didn't commit yet, but he did do that whole week.
Okay.
I'm willing to ride the bus every day.
Okay. So yeah, if anybody wants to get the bus license, Keith said he'd be happy to give you whatever training you need to get the bus license, and then you could. He just needs other people beside himself, so that when he's not here or he's not available, that we don't have the bus ministry not function, because of Gideon's, he goes out and speaks in other churches. And those weeks he can't even ride the bus, and so all those people that are used to coming aren't going to be able to come. So if there is at least one or two other people in the church that want to be bus drivers, they don't have to be men. You could have a woman bus driver too. So if there's somebody that wants to do that, that would be awesome. And especially if we can get it done before VBS, and like she said, be able to drive around, pick up kids. I've done that in the past for VBS, and picked up a bunch of kids for our VBS. So that would be great if you want to do that, or you know somebody that would want to do it. Maybe somebody already has a license, but if they don't, that's okay. We can get them a license. Keith says he's willing to do that.
But I really need some volunteers to go to the apartments, one day one apartment, and then
Yeah.
in another apartment, and just canvass.
Just to pass out flyers and to talk to parents, and like you said, I know in the apartments a lot of the families are Hispanic, and the kids probably speak English, but a lot of the parents don't. So that's true in 2001 over here. At least half the parents don't speak English. So I know when I go over there, I'm trying to have the kids translate for me, and there's a 5-year-old that's sitting there trying to tell their parents and of course they don't understand everything I'm telling them. So having somebody that can speak Spanish is a real blessing when we go talk to parents, because a lot of them don't speak English. So okay, good. Bus minister, anything else that we need to cover here?
Are we still gonna look for anniversary?
Yes, good point. We have someone that tells me she sent her resume. I gave her the wrong email address, so she's having to resend it. But maybe by the end of the meeting tonight, I'll have a resume for you for Rhiannon Marino. Rhiannon is she's a child care worker right now, and I'm not sure where she works at, but I know she's working. And she's also going to school. She wants to be a child care provider for her job permanently, and so preschool worker or whatever. Right. So anyway, I talked with her about that, and she's interested enough to send in her resume. So hopefully we'll have that, and we'll be able to get the personnel committee together and do an interview, and then if that works out well, then that would be great.
Until we get that done, this is one of those jobs where we're very sexist. It needs to be a female working in the nursery. We're gonna need some volunteers to do that. So if you would love to take care of Pastor John and Ronnie's grandchildren,
Maybe a couple of others.
a couple of others, we got it, and we're ready. Ready for action. But yeah, so Michelle Jones has graciously been in there because Cisco's parents often show up, and that's when they visit.
Yes.
That counts with the county as a visit, as long as Michelle's there.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's a way of a sneaky way to get people into church. Say if you want to visit your kids, they're going to be at church, and if you want to see them, this is where they'll be. And so yeah, it's a good way, and they've taken it really well. I mean, sometimes they usually sit in at worship at least, and
They sit in worship for quite a while.
yeah.
It's worked out good. Cisco
Speaking of Michelle, Emily has been our intern this spring, but she's not going to be able to work for the next couple of months, I think, because she got an opportunity to work at to go to summer school at she's going to Cal Poly in the fall, and they told her that if she goes to summer school, they'll pay for the summer school, they'll pay for room and board, and for free, and they'll take care of everything. It's a way to jumpstart some kids that are from more difficult types of backgrounds and get them into college and give them a good head start. And so she's going to do that program, but one of the stipulations of the program is that she has to be there all week. She may be able to help us on Sundays, but I know that at least during the week she's not going to be able to do stuff.
She can't leave campus during the week.
Right. So she probably won't be able to help us with Vacation Bible School, but she may be able to help us on Sunday morning still. I don't know what her schedule is yet. But okay, is there anything else we haven't covered? All right. Well, there is something else that I have to share with you, and kind of difficult, but I'm really glad that all of you came tonight so that I could share with all of you at the same time. I have been called to a new church in Idaho. Starts August 1st. And so my last Sunday here will be July 31st. And I have 8 weeks of vacation that I want to use up before I leave. So we've already planned on missing all of June anyway because of our trip to Hawaii, and then we have the camp, and then we have the family reunion. So we were already going to miss most all of it, and I'm just going to go ahead and take a couple more weeks after that in July. So I will be here on June 5th, and then on July 31st, I won't be here in between those times. If you would like to have some kind of a celebration, it's one of the reasons why it worked out that way with the church anyway. That's when they wanted me to come. Their pastor is resigning, I guess, on the 31st. And so they wanted me to start the 1st of August. And that's kind of an interesting time for me because that means I get to finish my 20th year. I'll have 20 full years in with this church. And so if you would like to have some kind of celebration for us and our ministry here, 20 years of ministry, you're welcome to do that. I think maybe that Saturday would be a good time to do that if you want to do that, the 30th.
You don't like us anymore?
Well, if you want an explanation, I'll give you an explanation. This actually started a year ago. My kids were talking about moving up to the Northwest. Corbin's already up there, and Joy and Mark were also talking about the possibilities, and so I think even Hope was talking about it at that point. And so I said, well, okay, that's interesting. And at that same time, we'd gone through a real difficult time for me personally. Not just the COVID, but the fact that we'd lost half of our leadership. And these were people that, for the most part, I had trained up, and I had, helped them get to that place where they were in leadership and felt really good about the people that we had serving us. And then to lose half of them over the period of COVID, it was right at that time that I realized they weren't coming back. And that, some of it was personal. These were people that I had very close relationships with, including my own daughter. You don't get much closer than that. And that was, she was a tough one to lose for me because not only was she my daughter, but she was a great leader in the church and had done tremendous work for us in all kinds of areas. So that was a tough one, not only personally, but for the church. We lost, I was telling Mark, losing his son and your daughter at the same time, and it was just something that I felt like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? I've took 20 years to get to this point. It's clearly going to be a start over at this point where we have to rebuild the church leadership and retrain and do all this, which is good, but I spent 20 years doing this. Am I the person now to do this again in this church, or is there maybe someone else that God is going to pick to do that the next time? So those were questions I was asking, and so I just went ahead and talked with the head. This was during Corbin's wedding. I talked with the head person of ABC in the Northwest. Charles Revis is his name. And so I went ahead and talked with him, told him about the possibilities. Obviously, it's tough for a person my age at 64 to get a new church to go to. And so over this period of time, they gave out my resume to many different churches. Some of them ignored me entirely. Some of them went ahead and gave me a Zoom call, and I talked with them, but they weren't interested. And I think the age was a huge factor for it. And then I got this call from this church in Idaho, and we had a Zoom meeting. It was actually when we were in Hawaii back in April, end of March, I think, or April. And so I seemed like it was a good interview. At that same time, as you probably are aware, we had this whole thing blow up in the church, and now we're looking at becoming a different church. And as I have seen, not only the fact that I wouldn't leave because we're having problems in the church, but I'm looking at where the church is headed, where things are headed here in California, and realizing that that's not me. Some of you know I've fought against this whole concept for a long time as pastor, that I like to hug people. And that's who I am in ministry, and I don't like to push people away, and especially people that are hurting and in need of a hug. And so, and not just that, but a lot of other things that are involved in this, just realizing, wow, that's not me. And so the way this happened, I want to say, is I hate to make it about me, but I know it is about me, that the timing on this was definitely God telling me, because I pray about this stuff, and it's tough to make a move. I've been here for 20 years. I got comfortable, and the church and everything else, our family, everything else in life is 20 years is right here in Southern California. So I think that God needed to do something to kick me out of here. And if I was going to say what would God need to do to show me, because I prayed, I said, God, if this is where you want me to go, then please show me. I always say that to God, but definitely when there's a church like this that's kind of interested in me and can get over the age factor, and some of these other things. I was definitely praying, saying, God, if this is what you want, then show me. And I could not have asked for a more definite sign than I got, than what I got. God made it as clear to me as he possibly could. This is what he wants me to do. And at this point, the way things are going, and the direction that this is for me personally as a minister, I don't think I could have stayed here anyway, given what direction we're going. I'm not saying it's a bad direction. I'm not saying that it's an unnecessary direction. Maybe this is what is necessary for the church. You're going to have to decide that after I leave. Is this, something that we can do or the next pastor can do. Maybe you'll have a different person that comes in and can lead you in a whole different direction as a church that fits where our society is and can fit the culture and everything else here. That'll be for you guys to decide after I'm gone. But I could honestly say I couldn't do it. It's not me. And this church is Idaho's a different place. Let me tell you that. I could tell you some stories of things that the people have said there, but the one thing I will say is this. As I said, the age factor is a huge thing to overcome for a church calling somebody, because at 64, they're asking, are you going to just stick around for a year or two and then retire? And I said, no, because I don't want to retire. I want to keep working. I want a new challenge. I want to go somewhere where I can be effective in ministry. And so I said, I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon, unless God, gives me health problems or mental problems or something else where I can't do this anymore. Then that's when I quit. But I don't want to stop until then. But they gave us the greatest affirmation that they could, and if you wonder where I was a week ago Sunday, I was up preaching for their church up there, and we met with all their committees and all their people, and then this last Sunday, just a couple of days ago, they went ahead and had their church vote on whether they wanted to call us as a pastor. And if you know anything about churches calling pastors, is sometimes it's kind of a tricky thing. They gave me a unanimous vote. 100% of the church was in favor of us coming there. So, thank you. So it was a pretty positive affirmation from their side. They've been nothing but really excited about us, and I'm excited from that level of things, because it is new opportunities. It's a new place. It was clear that God was ending this ministry here. He couldn't have made it any more clear, and at the same time opening up a new opportunity for us to go somewhere that's really positive and encouraging of us. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, I hate to leave this church that I've invested 1/3 of my life almost. You think about that. 1/3 of my life has been invested here. And more than half of my ministry life has been invested here at this church. So obviously that's tough. Looking around this room, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming. I wasn't sure who would be here tonight, and if we had too much steak and chicken or not, and it turns out you guys supported me very in numbers. And as I looked around the room as we were eating and realized, wow, these are people that I really love and care about. And I was just really, I just first want to say thank you for being here tonight. Rose being here, that was just a topper. It's like a bonus, showing up out of nowhere. And I invited her to come, but God just does certain things just to throw you a bone sometimes, and all of you were a blessing, but then the whipped cream on the top was having Rose show up tonight. So I want to tell you about one thing that I did this week. I wanted to make sure, first of all, that we documented all those names, because it's possible that the next pastor is going to come along and want to paint over all those names. And that'll be the right of them to do that. But I want to document all these names. So I took my computer out, and I got it all put on the computer, all the names off of the two walls. And it took about 8 hours for me to do that. Now, if Evelyn had been doing it, it would have taken probably a half an hour. But first of all, I'm a little slower, but mostly, I was spending a lot of time with those names. As I was typing them in, I was also thinking about these people that had made decisions for Christ. And obviously some of them were people that I had been very close to, and I was the one that had shared with them about Jesus, and I was the one that got to pray with them to receive Christ. And so those names, I spent a lot of time thinking about. But then I also looked on the wall, and we have about 600 people are documented as receiving Christ in the last 10 years. It's been 10 years. So 2012 till now. So in 10 years we have 600 people plus, and that's not everybody. Those are just ones we wrote down. I'm going and go, oh, I know there's more people than this. Youth camps, we didn't write down everybody and all this. And so I'm trying to fill in some names of people I know. I was the one that prayed with them, so I know they received Christ, or they're on video saying that they received Christ. But at the end of the day, I looked at all those names. Hello, Jason.
Sorry about being late.
That's okay. Glad you're here. You're looking sharp. You're looking really good. Anybody want to buy a car? Now's your chance. He's all dressed up and ready to go. But as I looked at all those names, I realized, and I'm typing them into my computer, I realized that at least half of them, I didn't even know these people. Never mind that I wasn't the one that led them to Christ or prayed with them or did any of those things. I didn't even know who they were. Many of them were Good News Club people or VBS kids that came to VBS. I might have seen them at some point. Some of them were people that we, if you'll remember, over the years, we've had people that have talked about their relatives or people in different places. I know Andrew was surfing in Texas and led somebody to Christ, and so he wrote that name on the wall. And Jazzy had one of her soccer friends that she led to Christ. We wrote that name on the wall. And there's a lot of names like that where people, I've never met them, but they came to Christ through the ministry of this church. And as I was putting all those names into the computer, God just dropped this ball on me and said, you know what? I don't need you to bring people to Christ in this location because I've been doing it without your help. Some of it I've used your help. I'm not saying that I haven't done some things, but a lot of it hasn't been you. That's my point. It's been you. All of the yous out there that God has been working through in bringing people to Christ. And so, God says I can do that with somebody else. And just with the people that I have, I can keep the work going here. And that was a great encouragement to me when God dropped that ball on me and said, you know what, I can keep this thing going, and I can keep bringing people to Christ, and I can keep writing more names on those walls, even without you. So, it may not be that difficult to replace me. It will be very difficult to replace Rhonda. That one's going to be a lot tougher. Because you can find a good pastor out there. There's some good pastors out there, but there's very few Rhondas out there. I hate to tell you.
So leave her here.
She finding a pastor's wife that works as hard as she does. Some of the pastor's wife are willing to come and help out, but they expect to get paid for it which is fair. They're doing work along with the pastors. They may have degrees and education and experience and stuff, and so there are some pastors and wife combinations out there where the wife will come along and work, but they expect to get paid. And I don't think I've known any other pastor's wife in all my years of ministry that's worked as hard as Rhonda has for nothing and been happy about it. Some of them do a lot of work and then they complain about it and they tell everybody about it, but Rhonda doesn't complain and she keeps doing the work. And so I don't know if you realize how much you've been blessed, but you'll find out. I hate to tell you, the next pastor, if you find one with a spouse that works as hard as Rhonda, I'm going to be really surprised. So she obviously has been a great support to me.
Thank you, Rhonda. You truly are an example of a true blessing. Thank you.
Yeah, keep going. That's enough. But anyway, yes.
Can I just add something here?
Sure.
When I got here, I think it was around 2007, so it's been a while. And there are a lot of little kids here, like Jazzy and Juice Goes and Matt, Andrew, and they're all little kids. And the thing about the future of the church at that time, I just kind of went along with trying not to be Catholic anymore. So I didn't think about any of it, but it took a while, but now I see that these kids all not only grew up with Christ in their lives, but they are ministering to people. And that came, I want to say, in the leadership of working with you, bringing up, growing the church. Something unfamiliar to me before, but growing the church and leading these kids because you knew that as the way years died off, you had to have new people bringing up the church. And you've done an amazing job of that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Janet. Obviously, God has blessed us. I tell people I don't bring anybody into the church. I'm very poor at being a Pied Piper and drawing people into the church. I really feel bad that I'm not better than I am at going out on the street. Some pastors go out and knock on doors and they invite people to church, and they're very good at bringing people into church, and it's just, I don't know why, it's not my gift. I wish it was, but it's not. So all of the people that have come into our church, virtually 99.9% of them, I didn't bring them in, other than my own family. I guess I brought my own family in, but other than that, they all came in from somebody else. Somebody had brought somebody. My gift is encouragement, and so I might have held on to more of them than other pastors might have been able to do, but and especially the young people, because that's where my heart is in ministry. So I guess you can give me some credit for holding on to them. I didn't bring any of them in. God used people in the church to bring them in. And you all know who brought you in. It wasn't me. It was somebody else that brought you into the church. Yeah.
I mean, interject. When I came in just like 2009 and the house burned down in 07 and Jazz and all these kids were coming in, and that's how I got involved in here. But coming from, even when I was starting to find out who Christ was, I had some friends that took me to like Foursquare and other big churches where I saw, and I was coming here at the same time, but I missed some Sundays. This is even before I was starting playing the guitar regularly as well too, but I was here and I was starting to get invited to come and play. But I was looking at all the big churches that had, nurseries, coffee. I mean, they were big places, and they were trying to get me to go to the church, but just to see how the Christian thing was, because I was coming from Catholic, another big thing, but I had never really been on my own through it. But saying that, I always thought of this when I got here. What attracted me more was like it was a way station. When people came through here, I saw people come and go, and I see other people that says, "Well, you're not holding it. We should have like 500 people or something." I said, "You know what? This is not what this church is all about. It seems to bring people, and they go out in their ways." I saw we've done ministries. I think we've had missionaries come through here, and this is just like a stopping place for that. And it's been a 20-year stopping place for you, and I think that's why life is. And being 7 years old, I have experienced just life, and this is part of life. But being in the Christian life now, it's even better than when I've had any. But life still goes on, does the same thing. God is in the mix all the time. He is sovereign.
Amen.
And He's in this.
Yeah.
So I've always saw this church, so I understand, and God's doing this all. It has nothing to do with me, it has nothing to do with you. Just, our salvation is in Christ. And that's what I think the main thing is. And we miss the mark, of course. We're all sinners.
Yeah.
So no one's perfect, not I, not you, not anyone standing right next to me here. But that's what I saw here, and this is what keeps me here, because I can go through all this stuff and people being disgruntled, because that's who we are. And that's why I say, that's why I like to say even killed, and that's as a Christian, that's how you have to be. You have to take the world because you have to live in the world. But you can always plan for what's in the future, what has God, and that's the Spirit. So
This is what I've learned, that Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. That's a promise. And I know the plans, Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope in a future and to prosper you, not to harm you. Those are promises that I believe in. And I know that in my life, this is what God wants me to do. He couldn't have made it any more clear. So, in that sense, I don't have any doubts at all that I'm making the right decision. He made sure I knew. And I asked him to do that, so, I'm sorry if I caused other people problems because of God having to show me. So that's my fault. But what you said is very true, is that God doesn't do things just for me. God does things for all of us. And so if he's got this plan for me and for Rhonda, then he also has a plan for you that's also good. It's not like he's going to forget you, or what were you guys saying before about forsaking you, or God's not going to forsake any of us. God's here for all of us, and so God's got a good plan for you guys just as well as me, and I'm sure that he'll reveal that to you as long as you're seeking him out and looking for that. I certainly hope that you're praying, because the decision to call a new pastor is going to be a difficult one. Getting not only a good pastor, but one that fits you as a church is hard.
Start praying. I did not know this. I'm in total shock. Yeah. I mean, this is like, I'm devastated. I wish I'd known a little bit. I mean, I don't even come for dinner.
Yeah, but remember, Cheryl, that if God showed him a plan, then he already has a plan for us. So don't worry.
Love you.
Bye, everybody.
Well, if I can share something is, that brings us to my family here. We left our family, we left our friends, we left everything in Guatemala, yes. But when you know that God is with you, you don't have afraid of anything, because you don't really need any specific person in your life. What you need is God in your life, and if he is taking the control in your life, then you are gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So don't worry. If he has a plan for Pastor John and his family, then he has a plan for us also. He's not gonna leave us. So don't worry. We're gonna be fine. Pastor John is gonna be fine with his family. So everything is fine.
Yeah. There's, in order to pull something off like this, there's a lot of things that God has to do to pull it together. Not just finding a place for me to go that's going to call a 64-year-old pastor and be excited enough about it that they're 100% behind that. That's, obviously God's working in that. But there's a lot of other things that we have to have work out for us. One of them just kind of fell into place today. Rhonda says, I'm not leaving until Hope has a place. And so today Hope found an apartment, and she's excited about, and it looks like it's going to work out, right? And so, that's another thing that God is taking care of along the way. And that's another thing that God's taking care of along the way. He's still hoping that certain things will fail, but God keeps doing this stuff. And that's the great thing about God, is that he not only says, I want you to do this, but then he provides the way for you to do it. And that's true for me and for us in our life, but it's also true for you and your church here, that God's going to provide, as long as you're seeking him and following him and listening to him. He's going to give you all the steps that you need from this point on. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was a shock to me. I feel like Cheryl, but I'm not real emotional most of the time. But Pastor John shared with me that it's kind of like we have a new generation coming in. And it's basically this year deal, or where that we're rebuilding. Almost every church in the country has dropped at least 25 to up to 50% of their attendance. And God's kind of using this, I think, to bring new wine into new wine skin, where we have, we'll have a new pastor, but I think it'll be something that will be a blessing to all of us, but we want to be a blessing to God, and we're not going to stop doing that. But it's been a shock to me. When I came here in 2007, and Christian, it's been a real blessing. Yeah, I agree with you.
We're not promised tomorrow, and God's in control. Right? God's
Yeah.
in control.
It's a new season.
Still hurts. But I wanted to remind you, because I've known you not as long as Alan or Abraham, but really close to almost 20 years.
Uh-huh.
Only because after my mother died, which was in 2004. And I have a big history with everybody here. My parents came to church here, which is how I got here. And then my parents decided they needed to move back to Fort Lauderdale, no matter what we said. And then my mother died, very unexpectedly. My daddy had dementia. We moved him back to California because I'm an only child, and that's what you do, right? And you were there every step of the way. But what I remember most is when I came over here, you were scrubbing graffiti on the storage units. And I just know that you are a humble servant. I know that much. And I've seen that in so many aspects of my life. Some of you know how many of you prayed for Sinclair before she was ever conceived. And now she's 14. She's 14 years old now.
Praise the Lord.
And some of you know that I've never brought anybody to Jesus. Let me tell you, Sinclair. When Sinclair looks old, when Sinclair is out there, you know. And people look at my Caucasian son and his Mexican wife and Chinese granddaughter like, where did these people come from? But all of you were calling that, but you have been with me every step of the way. There's some really ugly times in my life, not so long ago. You buried my husband, and you all loved me for that. You married me and Charlie. You loved us through that. I always tell her he's my serendipitous blessing, because that's how I see things. And sometimes we just have to go through a lot of crap. But we always have somebody that's right there with us. And I'm so grateful for that, and how you loved us through that, and laughed with us, and cried with us, and my little tribe, we kept going here. Nothing will separate, no matter where you are. But I will miss you, and I love your strength, and I love you being a humble servant. And you have had a lot of rocks and stones thrown at you over the years, and you kept your head held high.
Thank you.
I think you're an amazing example of that. It's so easy when that's happening to us, to any of us, when stuff is what the heck, but you've never done it. And I think that shows your extraordinary example of what it's like to be a Christian and to know. I love that song, I Know Who Holds Tomorrow. It's just one of my favorites. And you talked about your friend, you talked about that Saturday, about your friend who went to his funeral Saturday. He was like the most Christian of Christian people you ever met. Well, I think you got you pretty well.
He's a good man.
You know I like you a lot, but you know I like her. Yes, you know, and like Janet and Moses, they were actually shorter than me. Which is, that's not That's not a good achievement. But I was thinking the other day, just like Janet said, why is Jesse having a baby? That's wrong. Isn't she just like 7 or 8 years old? Or Andrew? But I think about all these people that are going out and you know learning. And all those people are reaching Huntsville. And I think the thing that still touches me the most is when my grandson Kate had liver transplant. And I thought the operator was doing really good. And then we were, no, he doesn't get another liver by 21. He's going home to work. Well, we already prayed for one healthy person to die. Can we possibly pray for a second healthy person to die so we can harvest the liver? But they went in and did surgery, but I remember you stopped serving at the end. And we all prayed together. So my grandson, I'm going to get great grandmother for the 3rd time. They were expecting their 3rd baby in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, you know, for somebody who was at death's door, thought they never had babies, and now there's going to be 3 of them. And all of you did that. But we're only as good as the leader. And you've been a great example. And I don't want to be.
Thank you. If you just interrupt just for a second. If you want to know what you can do for me for my 20th anniversary celebration here at this church and farewell, you couldn't have said it any better than you just did. What I really appreciate more than gifts or anything like that, we don't have room for more gifts anyhow. What I'd really like is the pictures and the thoughts and especially the things ways that I might have helped you in your spiritual life or get you through things, just like what you said. That's the nicest thing that I can receive from anybody. So if you want to really touch me and make me happy, and like you said, there's times when that church that I'm going to is going to throw some stones too, I'm sure. And being able to pull out, a book of thoughts like that and reminders, those help you get through some tough days. So.
I sent my tribe this cute little thing the other day, so here it is. If God's putting you in front of Goliath, you must know there's a David inside you.
There must be somewhere. We don't always believe it.
Shop's ready, so go for it. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, Janet, I interrupted.
I know the big scheme of things we're supposed to have. Who sees it or all that? But I was totally upset about it. Really, I agree. And I feel like how can I argue with God? He's using this, as an example or an affirmation for you. But part of me feels like so much of this never, ever should happen. At a certain point, it should be over. And it's not right, it's not fair, I'm losing my best friend. And it just,
Yeah.
So, I understand it, but he's saying, yes, as long as is Jesus, and yes, of course, and Jesus is present to other people. Yes, it's right. And I just listened to all the sub video, and wait, I can say something, and
Yeah.
it's very hurtful too. Very hurtful.
Yeah, it was, it was hard for me in the last few months, and it wasn't as hard as it was for other people because I knew what was going on. I knew it wasn't really about all the stuff that people were bringing up. It was really about where God was wanting to send me. So you probably noticed me not getting as upset as I probably would have over this whole situation. I really wasn't as much because I already knew what God was saying to me and what he was trying to get across. But you're right, it doesn't take away the fact that it still hurts and it's tough to go through that stuff, and so I understand that.
Pastor John?
Yeah.
I was on the search committee that hired me.
I remember that.
And this is how God works. I was a third resume after 16 months.
Yeah. You really had to get to the bottom of the barrel. It was like, oh man, another one said no. Oh no.
Well, there was some other circumstances that kind of voided some of these other resolutions.
Yeah.
One of them was that we wanted an American Baptist church.
Mm.
And some of them weren't. But, it took us a long time.
Mm.
We were at it for 16 months.
Yeah.
We had an interim.
You had an interim pastor. You also had Dr. Christian on both ends, and it was a long process. Longer. Most churches don't take that long to find a new pastor. It usually takes about a year on average. What'll happen is I already talked with Mark about this, and I think that this might have even been God's plan to have this come up so that you could build your relationship with Transformation Ministries a little stronger. We already have someone that is already aware of our situation. I've already talked with them about it. And so they're going to be ready to help you out. And what they'll do is they'll help you find a transition pastor, which is the most important thing for you to do next after I leave in August, is to have somebody that can come in and transition the church, they say. After a pastor's been in a church for 20 years, some of you in this church have never known a different pastor. I'm the only one that you've even known. That's just the way it is. And so trying to get somebody else in and break them in and get used to them, they're probably, it doesn't matter who it is, they're not going to be me. And there's going to be a lot of things they don't. There's going to be things they do that I don't, but there's also going to be a lot of things that I have done that they won't. And that's okay. I'm not saying it just takes some getting used to. And so what you want is you want a transition pastor to come in, do what needs to be done in the church, get you through whatever trainings and everything else that you got to do, but mostly to get you ready for the next pastor. And then that person can leave, and the new pastor can come in like a year or so from now, and you'll be ready for him at that point. You wouldn't be ready for a new pastor right now, and it would not be good if they, well, I shouldn't say it. I don't know what God's got planned for you, but just in general, you want to have a break between one pastor to the next one, and somebody that can come in and take the heat and then leave. Yeah.
Well, we're blessed that we have Pastor Ben and Christian.
We are blessed. You are absolutely right.
It's not like we have absolutely nobody. God's going to provide for us. And wow, Ben was one of our selection. But Ben, he does a wonderful job, and so does Christian.
Yes.
And that is a blessing here at this church.
We are blessed, and this is one of those things that God has been working on. You're very right. Over a long period of time, because Vin's been here almost as long as I have. Christian, not as long, but we have, even right now, as we mentioned in this meeting, a nursery person that looks like this might work out. It's not like God's not providing everything for us. Evelyn was a blessing coming in and helping us out after Tamika left, and Charlie was a great blessing. It took 3 people to replace Tamika, but God has brought people in, and we are blessed. You're right, and we're actually in better shape in many ways. Staff is one way that we're in better shape than we've ever been before, probably as a church. Financially, we're in better shape than we've ever been. Certainly in the last 30 years. I don't know enough about the history. There's nobody here except for Joan Chandler that could tell you anything about the history going back 40 or 50 years. But I can tell you in the last 30 years, the 20 years I had and the 10 years before that, we've never been in the financial situation we are right now. No debt, a couple $100,000 in the bank, and everything is ready, I think, for this period. So you're right. God has prepared us for that and made us ready, made you ready for this time. You going to say something now?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, building on what, I think, Alex was saying, a lot of it's gonna be very, very difficult to replace because I see how much work you do, I see how much work Rhonda does. And I go to other churches because my son's at other churches, preaching, and that's the gift from here, that they became Christians, they became pastors through this church. A lot of other ministry, missionaries, and different types of service in the Lord. This church, like Pastor John said, was kind of a transition. This is when they kind of got their roots in, and God sent them out. And we're not a big church, but we're kind of like a sports car church. We get the job done, we get done, and it's a pretty quick matter of it. But it's always been a blessing to see how much is going on here behind the scenes. But Pastor John does a lot, and it's really going to be very difficult to replace that. And just like we had to have 3 people to make this job, it's going to take a lot to do the work that Pastor John does. And I'm there almost every day, so I see what's going on in the church. And God put me here 15 years ago, and I came to Christ. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be out with Greg Laurie. I was just fighting the ship to be working with him, alongside with him. And God said He wants me here, so I'm here. But it's a blessing. It's a relationship we have that's very deep and it's very sad. But we're looking forward to the new opportunity God will give us, and that's what we have to look at. We have to start looking for what's going to give us. And He doesn't stop anything. He keeps on moving forward, so we just have to look for that.
Yeah. Well, and as I pointed out, I don't bring anybody here. God has to send them to me, and Dorothy and you and Al and Barbara and the people that have been here a really long time, Alex, and a lot of you have been here a long time with us. I don't take that lightly, that this was a gift of God, that God sent you here, that this is. And if He did it for me, why wouldn't He continue to do that? That's my point. Why wouldn't He continue to send you people? If He's done it already, pulled people out of who knows where and unexpected places that you were surprised to find, and maybe we were surprised to find, but God found a way to get you here and has made you part of this family, then God isn't going to stop now. He's going to continue that on. He'll continue. You just got to do well. The main thing for you, like we preached on Sunday, is what's the priority? What is it that God has called us to do? Love, right? And don't tear each other down. Don't tear each other apart. That was His warning against you, because if you do, you're the one that's going to get torn up. And if that's what you're going to do, then you won't make it. But if you do what God tells you to do, be loving and kind and generous and be all those things, then you're going to come out of this really well. And God will send you more people, and you'll be able to draw them in, and they'll be able to send you a good pastor to continue on. But you got to do your job, and your job is to do what the Bible says, which is to love. Yeah.
Love the Lord and love one another.
What? I don't know. Anybody else we're out of time. Is there anything else anybody wants to say before we close up?
I'll say something.
Okay.
One, I'm a little upset that I've never won a softball championship with you.
Yet I've won many. I don't know what that means.
That's the problem.
Chris, you've won many softball championships.
I blame Corbin. He took me on his team.
He did, because he needed a good player, and you were the best one he could find, because I took all the rest of them. Well, that's not fair.
What are you going to do with a softball teammate now? Jeez, man.
I don't know.
For almost 6 years, I think, and I haven't won.
We did win a volleyball championship together, though.
We did?
Yeah.
All right. That's right. All right.
I won at least 2 of
Those
those.
too.
Yeah.
I won a lot of those too.
Softball, man.
Yeah.
Been part of that.
I am going to miss a lot of things.
Make sure
from
this
this
next
church.
pastor plays sports, huh?
Well, that should be in your prayer.
Yeah.
So you can choose whoever you want, but just make sure that they're sports-minded.
Yeah, they're sports-minded.
All right. Anybody else want to share anything before we close? All right. Well, let's go ahead and close together. Dear Lord, I do thank you for the people in this room that have impacted me and have been a blessing. They have been God sent. I didn't do anything to bring them in here except for pray and ask you for somebody to come along and support us. And you have been picking out these people for a long time. And I'm the one that's been blessed for 20 years here. So I want to first of all give you all the praise and glory, because I know it was your hard work that got them here. But I also, Lord, thank you that you chose them wisely for me, because they've been the people that I needed the most. And I am very grateful for the work that you have done and the people that you have chosen. And I do pray your blessing upon this church, Lord, that over the next couple of months, or actually probably just a few weeks that I'm going to be here, physically present, and then for the months, and then whatever time is necessary before the next pastor comes. Lord, I just pray a blessing over this church, that you would visit us. We've had a kind of a tough couple of months, and it's been very divisive, and it's been very hurtful, and it's not been good. It's not been pleasant for anybody. And I pray that season be over, and that you can now come and rebuild the unity of this church and rebuild the love and concern for one another, and that this will once again be a church that people will want to be coming to, because it's the family of God here. And so I pray this blessing over this congregation, Lord, that you will again rebuild the family of God. And we've got some holes missing because of people that have left, but those don't concern you, because I know you already know who's going to fill those holes. And so, Lord, I just pray right now that you will give us that confidence to know that you have a plan, and it's a good one, and that it's for our good, and it's for the good of those who are not even here right now. I want to pray for those people that we haven't even met, and I probably will never meet, but they're the people that you have called and are going to call to bring to this church and to build it up and to continue on the good work that you have been doing here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.